Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Got Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Sodasun0424, and Video Gamer 75. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it would really help us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hey, quick warning. This is going to spoil some stuff from Kara no Kyokai if you haven't read it or seen it yet. So, that's on you. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the show where we ask you if you want to roll a 5-star. That's what the intro sounds like, right? Anyway, hi, hello, we're doing this. So, we weren't doing Wanted when the first Kara no Kyokai collab run came out, which means we skipped Saber Shiki. So, we're gonna do that. And in case you don't know, FGO Wanted is the show where we analyze 5 stars, usually of the limited variety, but also some other fun stuff you may have expected. Anyway, that's no spoiler. I already shot the Fujino one because I figured it might be more important to do that, but I'm shooting this one too, and it might come out first. We don't know yet. They're not all uploaded and stuff. Scheduling! Anyway, the core of Wanted is we examine 5 stars, usually of the limited variety, to let you know if you want to spend that quartz or not and roll. Almost like some kind of message from a rock or something. Anyway, we'll get in there a little bit about what they do and what this stuff is, and kind of talk about all that. Normally, I break down Wanted into 4 segments. We talk about their characters' real-life history, their lore in Fate with a capital L. We talk about their mechanics, and we talk about their rarity. Not their star rarity, though technically that is a point, but how frequently those rate-ups are. And usually with collab characters, it's bad. But, also, because this is a collab character, and specifically also, this is an original character, so we're kind of in a weird place where there's no real, quote-unquote, real-life history for this character other than, at some point, Nasu published Kara no Kyokai in light novel form, and then Shiki existed. But you should totally check it out, and I've said this in the Fujino one also, and we'll say it again in that if it's not out yet already, that you should check those out. They're hopefully the movie versions by the UFO tables are already extant still, like they're still licensed and stuff. They were on Amazon last I checked, that's how I watched them. Also, I did a whole review video series with audio and stuff that you should check out after you've watched them if you want to get my thoughts on them. That's super cool. Ooh. Bump my mic arm, sorry about that. We'll edit some of that out in post. Anyway, so, yeah, there's no big age history to talk about, but we can talk about lore a little bit. So, as I alluded to just mere moments ago, it was only a couple of minutes, to kind of talk about as a character, Ryougi Shiki Saber, usually referred to just as Void or Void Shiki. It's kind of spoilery. It's obvious fairly early in the series, which is in chronological order. Chronological? Yes, I definitely mean chronological. It's in non-chronological order, so there's some timeline shenanigans and stuff. But, basically, there's, a whole thing going on there where it's pretty obvious that, especially if you watch the second part, because that's the first chronologically. Anyway, that, Shiki has a weird thing going on where she's multiple people, sometimes with capitals. She has different personalities that do different things, and then something horrible happens to her personality, and that's kind of her whole driving ethos of stuff. Why she's got mad eyes. Well, and then it comes out later, only in the prologue, that there's a double super secret third personality who's the original Ryougi Shiki, who is plugged into the void of everything and stuff, and so she's super cool. She could remake all of existence if she wanted, but she already knows how that ends, so she doesn't. Yeah, so as a character, Void Shiki is immensely powerful, but only shows up at the end to kind of explain stuff a little bit and explain why stuff is weird and special, and maybe fix some stuff, do some epilogue stuff, and then she goes back off. You kind of meet her in the Kara no Kyokai collab. If you've done it already, you'll see in one of the quests, basically the proto-challenge quest, where she kind of switches personality from Shiki. So, yeah, there's a lot of lore here, but a lot of it's way too deep and packs way too deeply into the epilogue of a multi-volume series that translates into multiple hours of animated movies. Okay? It's long. We're not gonna break it down, but yeah. So Void is, as she's usually called, Void, usually written as just blank spaces and whatever, is a super secret character And honestly, it's kind of not a spoiler, because she only shows up in the epilogue to give exposition. Anyway, she's cool, because she's like a completely different Shiki, but she looks the same. And arguably, she's okay to waifu, because she's a completely different personality, even though maybe they share the same body. And you don't have to break up one of the Nasuverse's most tried and true ships, which is Shiki Mikaya. And don't fuck around with that. But yeah, so that's more of her stuff is. She's super cool and could probably do a lot of stuff, but also in the greater context of Fate, I don't know, I guess Nasu's boners for other characters are bigger, so he likes to downplay how cool she is, even though she says she's pretty rad in the story. But honestly, doesn't really have any major impact in FGO. Like I said, there's going to be a couple of cameos in the actual Kara no Kyokai event. There'll be some commentary about it, but mostly it's just a reference, and I don't believe she's been a major part of any future events. Though, there's always the possibility that if Shiki shows up in some standpoint, they can do the whole, their, personality switch thing as a joke. Anyway, not much to delve in there further. But if you haven't, check out Kara no Kyokai. It's really good. It was animated by ufotable. It's rad. And a lot of her animations are taken from other parts of the saga when she directly appears. As are a lot of her Ascension arts. There are a lot of references to various appearances. The first one is like a formal kimono that Shiki wears at some points. The mid one is... It appeared in one of the movies, but I think it was specifically for a Type Moon anniversary it was originally done. And then the third one is kind of a Princess Kaguya-themed thing that Takeuchi did, because he felt like it. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about mechanics, because that's the real kicker here. Again, original characters. The intro bits are short, especially when they're collab characters, so it's... We can say it's a malice, but that is a thing to be said. A lot of the collab events either assume you know what that thing it's collaborating with is, or if you want to know more, you'll go there. They don't really try to explain too much of the heavy defying thing. Anyway, the Saber version of Ryougi Shiki is a Saber of the 5-star variety. She's an AoE, which is no big shocker to anybody. She's not a dude, so she's not single target. A classic joke. Now, out of SSR Sabers, she is only one of... Actually, let me double check. Benny Enma is AoE, right? I want to make sure. I think she is, but I'm not. No, okay, she's single target. So she's, so actually, Saber Shiki is the only arts AoE Saber in the SSR rank. And possibly Period? No, that's right. That's right, Nero definitely counts. And there's probably a couple other in the SR. But arts Sabers like that are rare, so if you want to do that kind of synergy, that's always a plus. If you're thinking about attacks and stuff, well, unfortunately, her attack is literally the lowest out of any 5-star Saber. She is not meant to kill things real fast and real big. Heck, she's only got like 500 more points than Saber Artoria Alter, which means with regular foes, you could even that gap. Conversely, however, to this day, she still has the highest max HP of any 5-star Saber. Even edging out vanilla Artoria a little bit, and then the next runner-ups are, Bride and Mordred and stuff. So, has a lot of resiliency native, and that's kind of her focus. She has the whole large HP, lower attack thing, but being arts-focused, it's less of a concern, because you're assuming that she's going to stick around and drop multiple hits on people. Got it? Sabers have pretty middle-of-the-road star absorption, and star generation is okay. Her NP charge per attack is very high because her hit counts are quite low. She is an early generation servant from the first year. So she's got a Saber deck with 2 arts cards, but they're both 2 hits. But her quick card is 4 hits, so AAQ can do you some serious NP in there. And there's some other stuff we'll talk about later. But yeah, that means that she might seem a little unresilient in that aspect, so for now anyway, you may want to put some stuff in that. There's some things that even that out a bit later, which we'll talk about. But yes, her stats are pretty normalish. So, her NP. Normally, it deals heavy defense-ignoring damage to all enemies, so it's an AoE, which ignores defense. It removes all allies' debuffs, which is cool. That's a cool cleansing effect. Just imagine if, kind of like how, Luminos Eternal got after its update. Same thing. It's pretty cool. And it has a chance to inflict instant death on all enemies. It starts at 60%, it can go up to 100%, but the whole instant death chance is already really weird. It's mostly a gimmick, but occasionally it can proc to, like, kill a couple extra ads or something when you weren't sure that her raw power would do it, because she doesn't have a lot of that. Now, do note, this is an Arts AoE, but it only hits once, so she doesn't gain a super large amount of NP back from that either. Okay. But there is a future update coming. That's right, they buffed both Shikis because they can, I guess. There was an arcade thing. I don't know, they might even roll some of these out early for us if they can program it. I really don't know. But that increases her damage, basically gives her the equivalent of an NP interlude. It does not improve the base death chance, but you don't care about that. It also now increases the whole party's NP gauges by 10%, including herself. So that, one, adds to the Arts formula of generating more NP. Like, I can already skip to some of the support sections, slot her in with Tamamo, and there you go. You're gonna heal Shiki's already super large HP, so she can get it back. You're gonna give her NP, you're gonna reduce her skill cooldown so she can steroid herself more, and you're gonna build up that team charge mechanic. It's gonna fit together really well, because she'll also enhance Arts and NP strength eventually, to make that NP hit harder. A great way if you want to do that wave clear technique on people, and keeps that going. So it fits in very well. For her skills, she's got her version of the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception, increases your Arts effectiveness for 1 turn, so it's a mana burst type thing, 25 to 40%. Reduces all enemies' death resist by up to 80% for 1 turn, so basically, again, NP steroid, and gives her 1 turn of Ignore Invincible. Fairly effective. I think Assassin Shiki has it a little bit more effective because she is single target, so that's kind of, yeah, but, oh, God forbid you run into enemies who are, like, all evading and something, and you want to drop that on them, and you might kill them instantly. It can be very handy, and even so, it still adds her standard NP steroid type stuff. Second skill, Unyobi, this gives her a self-charisma type effect, 15 to 25% attack for 3 turns, with a minimum 5-turn cooldown at its highest level, which is pretty effective. That's going to help shore up her attack not being that robust, and it increases her mental debuff resist a few turns. Not a big deal. The final skill is her version of Yin Yang A, so Shiki's version eats her HP to give her NP. Shiki does the other thing, she can restore up to 5k HP for just 10% NP gauge, and that has a very short cooldown at maximum. It goes to 4. Now, I'm not sure necessarily whether or not you will be wanting to do that, because we've already said her NP gain isn't the greatest. On the other hand, at its max level, that's her base and, her base 4 turns. That's a third of her HP back every 4 turns for the cost of 10% NP gauge, which you've actually fired an NP, you automatically have minimum. So, it's a pretty good heal, and really shores up her tankiness. That's really the only thing that Shiki does as a tank, is just she has a lot of HP, she takes a lot of hits. Again, to talk about synergy, works very well with Mash in that regard, because Mash will do Def Cut and can taunt on like single target MPs and stuff, while also being an arts-focused servant who does, an attack buff too. Shore up those defenses. Passive skills, you've got Magic Resistance A, makes a lot of sense both for her character and also being a Saber, so that's why I say, you don't worry about the mental debuff resist. You already got a lot of mental resist. So, now I note that this has the independent action icon, but this is independent manifestation, which is her special thing. She was the first one to get this. And she can do that because she's connected to the roots. She can just appear when she likes. This gives her 6% critical strength, like a relative level of independent action would, but also already passively increases her mental debuff resist even further, and increases her death resistance by 6%, so she's fairly effective. And in case you're curious what a mental debuff is, that's Charm mostly, and then Fear and Confusion specifically. So Kotaro and Gil's and Abby's thing. And then her final special one, you see that special damage icon, that's actually connection to the root A, which it gives her a 6% effectiveness buff to all 3 card types, which is pretty cool. So her arts cards hit a little bit harder, and gen a little bit more NP than you'd think. Her quick card is actually quite effective with that extra boost. It's, I like how a lot of Sabers only have 1 quick card, but they have a very high level of writing to make up for it. And even her Buster cards will slap a little bit harder than you think. All in all, Saber Shiki or Void Shiki, while I will say she does kind of suffer from some of the early game syndrome that, like, oh, her hit counts aren't very robust, that means she's just got a flat, slightly higher NP gain to go for it. Her skills are kind of similar to how her assassin version works, so they're not that original. But all in all, and, well, actually, I should say first also, instant death is kind of a meme. It's not very reliable, and many, I was going to say some, but actually many major event bosses and stuff are actually immune to it outright because they don't want you to chump out a boss with a cheap kill. But with the way she is set up, she probably does have the most effective use of it, other than maybe First Hassan, and she is a Saber, so that's an entirely different class setup, you know? Normally you see a lot of those instant death effects in Assassins, sometimes with casters, but a lot in Assassins, so she is a different class to apply that, which helps. She is still an AoE Arch Saber, which, like I said, is very unique. And damn, that's a lot of HP. And especially with that buff to kind of keep the whole NP thing going, she can fit in a lot of arts teams. You can use her as a wave clearer with somebody like a Nero Bride, who is a phenomenal phenomenal support piece, but also does big single target damage. Slap that in there with Tamamo or Mash or even, you know, and you will get some serious business work. And just in general, like I said, AoE arts fits in arts team comps. Still does have a couple of buster cards. And maybe you'll get her instant death to proc, maybe you won't. But she's got enough buffs that even despite her low HP, or low attack, I should say, she can still do pretty good. And remember, I did just point out, she still technically has more attack. I keep wanting to say HP, Jesus. I'm awful at this right now. It's a little bit later than I usually record these. For reference, this is the video I left Lucky's stream to go make, if you were paying attention. But anyway, her attack is slightly higher than Saber Alter, who is considered a very powerful offensive servant. Now, obviously, Saber Alter is, you know, a little bit more buster focused, but still, right? You get the idea. And Shiki has these really good buffs to herself to actually up that damage. So she can still be pretty effective at clearing waves, and just holding down the line, you know, with that big HP and with her ability to heal herself. She's pretty debuff resistant. I know a lot of Sabers are, but she is fairly robust in that regard, so that's a fairly good way to take care of that. She also removes all allies debuffs when you use her NP, which is a great effect. Everybody loves that AoE debuff clear. Which also means she parallels well with Jean, because then you're just like, no debuffs ever. Just alternate when you use their NPs. Anyway, she makes a great kind of, I'll say, soft support piece, and is probably mostly good for niche fights, but in general will serve you as an AoE Saber if you need one. Which you might not, because there's a lot of them. There's like 3 permanent ones who are all Buster AoEs, and I own 2 of them. Anyway, we want to talk about synergy. I've kind of explained it already. Arts. Go arts. Whatever fits your arts and stall boat setups. You know, Jean, Mash, Tamamo, anybody like that. Nero Bride, you know, just go the whole works. Go whole hog. Get her in there, and you'll work that angle pretty good. CEs, same thing. She doesn't have a battery, unlike regular vanilla Assassin Shiki, so, again, depending on your support setup, it's probably not ideal to slap her with a starting NP charge. You probably want to give her just arts effectiveness up in some capacity. Maybe crits, because she does have independent manifestations, so something like, Another Side, I was going to say, what's the other one to Victor of the Moon? So yeah, Another Side, I believe, is that one. Stuff like that. You know, you can just go formal craft, you know, if you want to be basic. Other than arts, I would say maybe NP gain or NP strength is the one to go for. And if you really want to meme on it, slap something that increases her chance of inflicting instant death. So, let's talk about that rarity. Now, the Saber Shiki Void is slightly, ever so slightly, more common than Fujino is. So, we already had the Garden of Order one, and we already had we're about to have the rerun, I should say. She was added to our Thanksgiving collection in 2018, so, not last year's, but 2 years ago, and has been part of a couple of New Year's campaigns. The one that was 2019 for us, so it has already passed this year, but, you know, has passed. Well, that's a little awkward, but, you know, that one, it was a while ago. Physically a year ago. Or chronologically. Not just calendar year. And we'll come back again in the Happy New Year 2020 Japan version, so that'll be Happy New Year 2022 for us. And because she is an SSR, she will appear regularly on GSSR pools and stuff. So, yeah, she's not common, but she is not uncommon. There will be several opportunities, and of course, having already specifically appeared on one English Thanksgiving bundle, though also still in a, New Year's bundle. It's entirely possible that she may get an added raid up. We've already done that with a couple of servants and moved around, and some other stuff. So yeah, a little, if you're a Shiki aficionado and you missed out, it's a little sparse, but if you're just trying to casually find a good raid up to find her, you might find one in the future. And that basically is that. There's not much else to say. A lot of these OC-type videos tend to be shorter because I skip out all the history and research and stuff, and I just mostly tell you to go read or watch things. Pro tip, go read or watch things. Anyway, we'll wrap up. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord. The link is always in the description and in our channel page. And of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always get our latest videos. More Wanteds will be forthcoming in the future for a variety of things. They're going to be fun. And of course, even if you're already subscribed, considering that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. It's very handy. We usually yell about it on like Discord and social media and stuff, but maybe you're not looking at those right now. Notifications help. And of course, like it says on the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You could get access to this episode early and lots of other goodies. You can listen to our shows in audio format, downloadable for as little as $1 a month, or if you're willing to pay a little bit more, you can become a gold member and listen to our shows as they are recorded live. Super fun. And it really helps us out, keeps us going. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go. I gotta go back to that stream like he's making in the future past and see what's up there. That's right. I had chronological pain this episode. Now I'm gonna inflict it on you. Welcome to the Void!